Bună ziua, bună ziua! Bine ne revedem cu unii dintre voi. Sunt Loreda Dragomir, Managing Partner la Headhunting Agency. Avem încă un panel și o discuție interesantă. De data asta este despre experiența candidaților și I will switch to English. So, I'm Loreda Dragomir, Headhunting Agency. We have an interesting panel and interesting discussions, mainly about candidates' experience, but also what companies need to do more to help diversity, inclusion, equity, and things like that. So, let me introduce my guests. There are 3 here next to me and 2 online. Thank you all for being here on a Saturday, and thank you for being online with us. So let me start with the person next to me, which is Ștefan Iliuaică. He is consultant at AMAIS. He will tell us more what they do there because they have a lot of projects. And I know him for like 3 years, I think, right?
Yes, 3 years since 2021. Yes. 3 years.
Oh, okay. 3 years. So can you tell us something about you, Ștefan?
I will tell you. So, yes, I'm involved in AMAIS, and I teach technology for the blind and visually impaired. But before coming here to AMAIS, I was a recruiter. So I can say I know a little bit of how the labor market works, and being myself a recruiter and also a blind person gave me a new perspective of how the recruiting process should work. And I hope I can bring some useful experience and tips and tricks today.
Thank you. Okay. Next to Ștefan, we have Lena, and I will let her introduce herself. She's a sign language interpreter, which amazed me because she's doing the sign language for theater, which in my opinion it's very challenging because you have to put emotions into that sign language. So Lena, can you introduce yourself in a couple of sentences? Can you tell us more about you?
Yes, thank you for the invitation. So my name is Lena. I'm a CODA, first of all, so child of deaf parents. The sign language is my mother tongue language. So I work at the public television, and starting 2022, I interpret. So I translate, in fact, theater plays for the Constanța Theater, and I think that next week in Bucharest also.
Okay, thank you. Last but not least, physically here next to me, it's Costin for Unde lucrăm, or where we work. And I know you're doing a lot of new things recently, so what can you tell us about yourself?
Hi everybody. Thank you for the invitation. It's really an honor for me. Indeed, I run a employer review platform called undelucrăm.ro. Let's say this is for Romania because we are present in 14 countries, Central Eastern Europe and Middle East and Northern Africa. I think we are in the position to say a lot of things about the employee perspective. How do they feel at work? Candidates during the interview processes and so on. And I think what you refer about regarding the news, we just partnered globally LinkedIn in order to bring more development and learning solutions to the market. Thank you.
Okay, super. Now, online we have with us Alexandra. She is the hub leader for Light into Europe. And I'm impressed with the things she does, teaching English and doing a lot of activities and always busy. And I want her to introduce herself. Can you hear us well, Alexandra?
Yes. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, we can.
Okay. I am Alexandra. First of all, I am a PhD student at the Faculty of Letters and Arts at the University of CBU. But most importantly here, I am the lead of the Accessibility Hub project of Light into Europe charity. Yes, my activities range from teaching English, of course, teaching technology to blind and visually impaired people, young people, and students. And I will tell you more later. And of course, my love is translation and interpreting. So I am impressed to have another interpreter here and translator here. Sorry, in the speaking panel. So I'm eager to learn more this today.
Super. I will address some specific questions to all of you, but now let me introduce our guest from UK, and he's Hamza Idrisi. It's the global program director at Best Places to Work, and tell us a little bit more about you, and then we'll discuss more about the certifications you have for DNI. Thank you for being here.
Sure. Thank you so much, Loreda, for inviting me to be part of this, amazing, event. Again, my name is Hamza Idrisi. I am actually part of the Best Places to Work organization, and I will be glad today to be with you in this panel to discuss a little bit, some of the best practices, we have seen other organizations implementing when it comes to diversity, inclusion, equity, and especially, inclusion as well, disability inclusion. And then, of course, depending on the questions, if there are any specific questions from the audience, I will be happy to assist in terms of the trends today in the markets, etc.
Okay, so the next question is coming to you, Hamza. We're going the other direction now.
Sure.
And it has to do with when you certify companies in globally and also in Romania, because I know you're doing a great job in Romania. Do you see this aspect being touched? Do you see a lot of questions or a lot of demands or a lot of needs in terms of diversity and inclusion? Because I know you do have a certification especially for that, right? How do you see it?
Right. Yes, indeed.
How are things going?
Very good question. I mean, I think the markets in the last couple of years started to, or I would say employers started to give more attention to those different topics in the last couple of years. And then we have seen actually two trends. We have seen, of course, some multinational companies in Romania that are trying basically to adopt the same practices that are done on the group level, in terms of, adapting those different, practices and initiatives to the Romanian market. That's one. And we've seen also other local organizations also trying basically to implement different kind of initiatives to support basically their diversity and inclusion initiatives. And let me just tell you some of those different, initiatives that we've seen. A couple of companies basically implementing in Romania, but also across the region, especially, to, provide more basically room and opportunities basically when it comes to inclusion. So one of those different initiatives that some of the employers started actually implementing is really around awareness and education. We have seen that a couple of companies actually started to put in place different kind of programs to talk about disability in the organization, in the workplace, by providing, for example, like different kind of trainings to the employees, especially around disability awareness, understanding biases, and also talking about inclusive practices. Also, some of the things that we have seen employers implementing is really physical and digital accessibility. I mean, we have seen that a couple of companies during the certification process, they provide us with more information about the different initiatives that they have implemented when it comes to, for example, office spaces, to make them more accessible to different kind of employees, like including, for example, putting in place ramps, elevators, the wide of the doorways, etc., and also accessible restrooms and meeting rooms, etc. We have seen also a lot of companies putting in place different kind of efforts when it comes to digital accessibility. I think this is something that we will address later on by adapting basically their different tools, softwares, and websites to the different guidelines when it comes to web content accessibility. And then also when it comes to hiring practices and advertisement, we have seen a lot of companies basically also advertising some specific opportunities in a targeted websites or through different kind of associations, etc., that are basically having members, people with special needs or with disability. And I think also some of the employers also gave us more information in terms of their offer when it comes, for example, to flexible work arrangements, especially providing those people with the opportunity to work more on a remote basis compared to other employees, etc. So definitely, I mean, during the course of the discussions, I can highlight other initiatives that the employers are implementing in Romania, but also across the region as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move now to Alexandra, because I assume over the years you were applying for jobs, you have interviews, you have projects, maybe you worked in some places. What do you think your candidate experience was? Was it a happy one? Did you have challenges? Were you treated differently? Were you treated better? And what, from this perspective, what recommendations can you make for companies?
I would now address you on behalf of the entire community of visually impaired persons in Romania, which I am and will be dedicated to until the last moments of my life. Basically, this is what Accessibility Hub is about. It's about finding and preparing people, people with disabilities for for their jobs, for their career. And yes, I've been a candidate, of course, and I had some attempts to be to seek for employment, and to, in my case, to have an authorization for translators, a translation authorization. But let me explain first things that are very, very important to know about the compensatory abilities people with visual impairment have, because there is a lack of awareness, unfortunately, in Romania about these aspects. Let's have let's tell you a story. The main character of this story is Maria. She's a visually impaired person, and she relies on her hearing and her touch to interact with technology. What I mean about hearing is that she uses her screen reader, which can read a lot of with a very high speed, and a braille display, which helps her correct errors faster. And these two skills enable her to pursue the translation career. But unfortunately, the translation authorization exam, for example, in Romania, requires printed dictionaries, which cannot be accessed by people with visual impairments. So this is a barrier to employment, because having this authorization exam means having the possibility of being employed in certain jobs, and the recruitment process. Actually, in the recruitment process, people who don't have this exam are denied, so they have no chance. And this is a discrimination. Discrimination, and we strive to fill such fundamental gaps. And we collaborated as a team for 14 months until we've designed Accessibility Hub to advocate for this inclusive employment scheme. And this is a space, a learning space for educators, professionals, and people with disabilities alike to build accessibility first habits into all facets of their work. Basically, our plan is to create this 360-degree support services wraparound for youth with disabilities and professionals, as these are essential to creating an inclusive employment environment.
That's a very valuable input, and I totally agree with you that a lot has to be done. We will come back to the accessibility hub in the second question, but my understanding is that some people, including you, feels that they don't have what they need in order to have equal chances for interviewing and for employment. Correct?
Correct, and the discussion revolves around communicating our needs and making our voices heard, and practically illustrating how I illustrated here how we work, so that the employers understand that we are very valuable workers.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alexandra.
Welcome.
I'll come back with a second question, but let me come to Stefan, because we are talking about candidate experience. I know he had a job before and now he's a consultant, and probably he applied for other jobs. Stefan, how did you feel? Was it fair chances? Was it helpful? They were there for you? Were you treated right?
Okay. It depends a lot of what people you are meeting during the recruiting process. I remember my first recruitment process, which was a positive experience. Fortunately, it was at my first job where I worked as a recruiter. That's why I was treated equally, because I had initially the phone interview, and then I moved on to the in-person interview, which was quite complex, because they asked me a lot of questions, both about myself and about my plans, and what I would like to do, why I want to do work as a recruiter, and then I followed the next step, which was assessment in 2 parts. It was an online assessment, and it was a personality test, and then a cognitive test. And I really appreciate that the entire process was accessible, and I didn't skip any stage. Even
So you're treated exactly like the other ones that were applying
exactly
for the
like
job.
the other ones, and my abilities weren't put under any question. I was like, okay, maybe they will ask me how I do things, but they never doubt that I can do this. And it was really inclusive, and I really appreciate this. And then, as a follow-up, I worked for an entire year as a sourcer on multiple projects, from IT to finance and even pharma. So yes. And less positive experience was when I went to another interview after my first job. and the recruiter didn't even bother to ask me how do I use the computer and how do I do things in general, because they assume that, okay, he's blind, he's slowing down the entire process, and yeah, we can't work with him because, yeah, most of people think that it's very difficult to implement accessibility at the workplace. So yeah, that's the major problem, the attitude towards disability and skills. You are mostly asked about your disability than your skills and what you can do.
Okay, thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's true. And unfortunately, when they realize that you need special needs, it's difficult for them to pass that, or they thinking, what extra resources I need, or what else I have to do more in order to get this person, instead of thinking what abilities and skills that this person have that I can use. Okay, thank you, Stefan.
Yes, and by the way, should I talk now about what measures we can take, or in the following?
Next question.
Next.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask Lena. Lena, how can we help companies to give these people a different candidate experience, a good candidate experience, and a good employees experience? Because I know you have a lot of ideas.
Yes, and it's very easy, in fact. I will talk only about the deaf persons because I don't know about the other disability. So it's very clear that the companies, the authorities, can have a sign interpreter, because the people with deafness, they don't need. So they say, okay, we can do everything. The only problem, yeah, it's that we cannot hear. We cannot learn to hear, but you can learn how to communicate with us. And if you cannot, you can bring me or us a sign interpreter. It's very easy. On the other side, the authorities and also the companies, they can make accessible the sites. HR has to know that they can put a video in sign language with the announce or what do they want to transmit to the deaf people, because I still hear the question, okay, they are Romanian citizen, so they should know Romanian. And I say yes, but Romanian is not their language. Their language is the sign language. So that's why for them the Romanian is the second language. So short, so they can have. It's true. We are very few in Romania. I think that less than 100. But so, and the problem is back in education. We don't have in university programs to train people how to become sign language interpreter. But they can use us, the companies can use the sign interpreter. When you have a candidate, a deaf candidate, you can bring a sign interpreter. You have to pay it also. Not the deaf person has to pay for this. And they can make accessible the sites with the video in sign language. It's easy.
It's that easy. Yes, because I think it's a form of respect to allow that person to speak the language that it's natural and modern to them. Okay, Costin, thank you, Lena. Costin, I'm sure you also have some inputs on what companies can do in order for the candidates and the employees to have a good experience. And I know on your platform, probably you have a lot of stories, interesting stories. So what is your input on what can be done?
Well, I would start to say that every single small thing becomes big. Picture that, please. And for example, we are an employer review platform, as I've said. But frankly, to be said, we don't have too much reviews in this direction. And I think part of the fault is ours, because until now, in fact, still valid, but starting next month will happen. We don't have, and I think nobody in the labor market has a very accessible platform. I mean, job platform. I know that we'll be the first ones, together with another platform, is eJobs. So undelucrăm.ro and eJobs will be pioneers on this. But hell yes, someone has to do it, because if I have to go to the other part, to the employers, they have all the capacities and all the power in the world to do it. But to be honest with you, like every company oriented on profitability and so on, okay, what's my deal with?
For I don't have a budget for it.
Oh no, they do have. I mean, really, they do
No,
have.
but that's what they say.
Yeah, but it's a matter of should I spend maybe half an hour more, extra hour to push the things? Because I'm telling you something. At least it's my religion. Education is a very tough thing and can be done, from my perspective, in two ways. Either the classical way, okay, you go to school, you get taught, you blah, 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 or the hard way, let's say, not a, I would say by force. It's not a brutal or physical force, but it's pushing, pushing, pushing. I mean, just imagine this event not existing. It means still lack of awareness of the problem, of the real problem, and so on and so on. So I'm here to push it. We are here to push it. And again, a small thing will eventually become a big thing. But I strongly believe that we have all the means to move the things forward.
So small steps, from small to big, one step at a time. This is indeed the first accessibility expo and fair in Romania. It's a great initiative. More will follow, because after first, other numbers will come. But it's great that we started.
Congratulations.
Okay. Before I go to the second question, Stefan, can you also say what companies can do? You said that you're treated exactly the same as the others, which was great. You said that your abilities and skills were put in place. Anything else?
What they can do? Okay.
Companies. What
Yes,
companies can do
Yes.
for you guys to be better?
Yeah. First of all, I think that the things to start even from the onboarding process. In other country, there are special onboarding process where the company give to the potential employers different PowerPoints or slides or videos about people with disability, what they can do, how they should behave around them, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, the first step is to include that the person with disability in the onboarding process. So every person that is employed on the company should know that one day a potential candidate with disability could apply to a specific position. Another thing, in my opinion, is to be open-minded. Okay, I came to you, you interview me, and instead of asking me if I can do a thing or another, you can ask me, okay, how we can do it to be accessible for you, and what's the process to do that? Because many people, assume that the accommodation I don't know, accommodation. No, the accessibility process is a long way down. For example, someone assumed that it would take like 3 months to make a computer accessible, but in reality, it takes less than 5 minutes to put a software and install it. On the other hand, I don't know how it's with the I don't know allowance for the superiors with licenses and stuff like this. But the companies should know that for the blind people, the only accommodation needed is the screen reader, which is free, it's open source, and very important.
Very secure.
Yeah, it's completely safe and it doesn't steal any data regardless of whatever type of data are you working with.
Okay, thank you. I assume if a company has a DNI campaign or a DNI program, they should also have DNI budget for the spendings that you mentioned. Thank you, Stefan.
Yeah.
Let me go back to Hamza. Are you still with us, right?
Yes. Hello.
Okay,
Hello?
okay.
Hello?
Just tell us a little bit more about the certification, the DNI certification, what it means, how a company can get that, and hopefully it's not only on what they plan to do, but on actually what they are doing and how they implement things in order to get certified.
Sure, of course. Well, let me just give you basically a kind of an overview. So, best places to work, basically certification. We have different kind of certification that can basically address different kind of recognitions, basically in terms of what companies are doing. So, we have, of course, a general certification that recognizes organizations that are doing a great work in terms of people management practices and also offering a great employee experience. And we have, of course, the certification that we call disability inclusion. Really addresses basically, companies that are doing basically different kind of initiatives to support basically, people with disability, in the workplace. And one of the things that I would like maybe to share with the audience over here is basically what are the areas that we're focusing on basically to evaluate employers. So one of the things that we're looking at is definitely the leadership support. So we look at really how the leadership team is supporting the different initiatives, favoring basically people with disability in terms of, being part of the organization, etc. We look at also how the organization culture in the company also is supporting those different, initiatives, etc. We look at also the workplace and accessibility, as we have discussed. So we look at really, how accessible is the workplace in terms of, different kind of facilities, basically from the outside of the office until the inside, etc. We look at also the recruitment and the hiring practices that are in place, whether they are favoring basically the application for people with special needs and also people with disability. We look at also the training and the awareness programs that are offered inside the organization, because the idea is not really to attract those people, but also maintain those people in the employment. So those people later on, they will be in interaction with different kind of people, inside the organization. And we need to make sure that this, basically environment is really supporting them and, helping them basically remain inside the organization. And one of the things also very important that I didn't mention earlier is what we call the employee resource group. And we also look at the feedback and the evaluation and also policies and compliance, in the organization. So those are basically the different, areas that we're covering. And one of the things also that I would like to share with you is really the methodology of the evaluation. So basically what we do to evaluate employers is that first we provide employers with a kind of a questionnaire in a kind of a self-assessment, so that they can provide us with different kind of things that they are doing around those different topics. And then following that, we conduct basically what we call a validation phase, where basically we ask the organization to provide different kind of evidences and documentation, etc., regarding the implementation of those different initiatives and programs inside the organization. And then we also sometimes go further in order to run basically a survey, for the employees of the organization, so that they can give us a feedback in terms of how they perceive those different initiatives, focusing basically on disability inclusion, how they perceive it inside the organization, and whether they have different kind of recommendations, so that the organization can even improve the different initiatives, implemented.
Thank you very much, Hamza. I have a very short last question before I see if anyone in the audience have a question for you. And that is, do you have in Romania any company certified with the DNI certification?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
We have not yet. Yes, indeed. Yeah, we have worked actually with different kind of organizations that have achieved actually the general certification and also the best place to work for women. But the best places to work in terms of diversity and inclusion, and also when it comes to disability inclusion, no, we do not have any employer yet that have achieved this certification yet.
So there is a lot of work for us to do with the Romanian Chamber and all the association and all the people here in order to be more aware about that. Okay, thank you. Thank you so very much. Okay, let me switch back to Alexandra. Thank you. Dear Alexandra.
Yes.
Tell us more about the Accessibility Hub. I know it's a great project. I know you're trying to do amazing things there. Give us more details, please.
Okay, the Accessibility Hub has its motto to make Romania more inclusive. We are also we also have ambassadors. These people that you mentioned, that these other speakers mentioned, who can talk about their disabilities, can talk about their needs with the employers or potential employers. Basically, the Accessibility Hub is a place where people can learn. For example, we have a large range of equipment, materials, and accessible instruments essential for blind or sighted people who or maybe partially sighted, sorry, who can access information, education, and employment, who can facilitate their access to these. And also, we develop, our multidisciplinary team develops accessibility and inclusion guides and bespoke checklists for education, public services, banking, transport, accessibility training for HR specialists, and other resources with straightforward recommendations for those interested in improving accessibility and physical and digital in digital environments, or for people with disabilities, especially with visual and hearing impairments. We also deliver one-to-one training sessions, as I said before, and I'm the first to be dedicated to these trainings. Where we teach visually impaired people about the available assistive technology, polishing their digital skills to facilitate their educational and professional paths.
How many people are in the program?
We are a program which is in its infancy, but there are at least 20 ambassadors in our program.
Great.
Who are raising awareness even in schools or communities where people are blind people are integrated, and we tell them about the accessibility. We tell sighted people about accessibility features, about how they can help if needed, and We've recently been to the school of the High School of Music in Galați, and had the chance to also train 40 key members of a motor company. And we also provide accessibility resources, and will provide them on our website. They will include examples of various challenges, and will offer step-by-step solutions to help address these issues, especially regarding digital accessibility, but not necessarily, because we will also have videos that will demonstrate the needs for a change in physical environments, because many buildings don't have ramps, as mentioned before, or don't have braille labeling, and the needs for and the difference that these make is very, very important to us, and is visually it makes more sense. And we also make guides, step by step guides to offer more explanations on the legislation which is available. For example, the EU Accessibility Act, which should be implemented by the 28th of July 2025, and is the first legislation to have a very high impact on on the companies if they don't comply with it. And it's also signed by all the EU it applies to all the EU member states. And we inform, actually, um, based on the WCAG guidelines, how these can be implemented, and how the physical accessibility aspects uh, mentioned in the Romanian legislation, in Normativul 51, can be made can be implemented as well,
Can be made
to
possible.
facilitate this a quicker making faster these implementations. Sorry.
Okay, thank you so very much, Alexandra. It's a great project, and we are looking forward to see the evolution of it. And let me move to Stefan and ask him about what exactly is he doing in AMAIS as consultant.
Okay. So AMAIS, it's an NGO who tries to break a barrier between people with disabilities or without disabilities. And what I do at AMAIS is teaching blind and visually impaired people using assistive technology like laptop with screen reader, tablets, phone, and so on. And I'm also an administrator for the CU app, which is cu.ro, which is an app that connects blind individuals with volunteers to accompany them in various activities like going to the shop, going to the train station, to the doctor, to concerts, exhibitions, and even, why not, to accompany them to a job interview. So if you ever have a blind person who comes to an interview, you can, and he or she tells you that he can come to the interview because he or she is blind, you can tell them about the app and to request a volunteer. So
It's a great initiative. Super.
Yeah.
Bravo. And I also known and seen and be aware that you have so much fun.
Yeah.
at Amais? Do a lot of activities, outside of going to the doctors and going to shopping. You do a lot of interaction between your people and others.
Yes, and we also had common activities indeed with both the disabled and typical people. For example, going to ice skating or going to the park or even having a big party. Last year we host a big party with people without and with disabilities, and we had like 200 people. Yeah.
Congratulations. Super. Bravo. Lena. Thank you, Stefan. Lena, what ideas do you have and what projects do you have, and how would we make small steps in making that difference?
We as a society,
You can put that too, but you as an individual.
okay, so I can make more with awareness, working in awareness, and I'm going to talk about the deaf people and their needs. And in fact, I don't want to use the plural. It's just one need: communication in sign language. That's it for them. So awareness a lot with the companies, with the authorities, but not that just in one point, in one place. Has to be something everywhere. Maybe a campaign, awareness campaign at the public television and also to the other, as we can have a prevention for, I don't know, cancer, a campaign on the TV. Also, we can do the same for all disabilities. Also, we can make together training in sign language for the companies who have one, two, at least one. If they have just one, the colleagues has to know how to communicate in sign language with their colleague.
Basic things, at least.
Basic things. So what we are talking when we are going at the office in the morning, did you sleep okay? So what are the kids doing? So something like this. And it's very important for also for the hearing people in the company, and also of course for the deaf people. They are equal in this. Okay, we cannot do more, so nobody wants to be proficient in sign language, but this can be done. Also, as I said before, when I, as a company, I have a job and I put so in public that free a job, a position, I can do. It's easy to make also a video, and in this case, this is equality. I respect this, so I will do I will give the chance also to a deaf person to go to reach in that position. So we can do
There are
more.
a lot of things we can do. Okay. Costin, what can we do? Yes, Stefan.
Yeah, just one more thing to add. The psychologist within me want to ask something. To ask something for the company to think and to realize as a concrete thing later in the practice. Just think that you have urgent position to fill. You find a people with disability that checks all the boxes you want, even some supplementary ones, and you reject him or her because of the disability. Just think that what happened if you accept it. Would the efficiency process would speed up, and what advantages could you have? Because as you already know, it's very difficult to fill up urgent positions, and even harder to find people that switch the position and stay on the position more than a few months or 1 year. So yeah, keep in mind the advantages you could have. And let's see what happened next.
Yes, not only that, but if you have a position, urgent or not, that is not filled for a couple of months, that's costing you much more than investing in having people with special needs on board. Much more.
And of course, the entire team would have another perspective of what disability means. And I can come with a personal example. When I was working as a recruiter, at the beginning, the people were like, "Okay, we don't want to overload you, so we will give you a few tasks." When they saw what I can do, uh, later, the projects kept coming and coming and coming for all over the place.
And I think at some point you were responsible with the database as well,
Yes,
if I
yes.
remember correctly. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Stefan. So, Costin, what can we do?
Well, I think a situation, good or less good or bad, let's say, is really understood if you are part of it. I mean, just to set a bit of the expectations, and I will be honest with you, I wouldn't have done almost anything if you wouldn't have contacted me. Because it's a simple lack of awareness, simple visibility, maybe. Let's say one of the part is not very keen to say hello, we are here as well, we need your help or whatever. Maybe they are not comfortable. And the other part, okay, what's my benefit and so on. But I think we as human, I mean, again, we as human, no numbers or whatsoever financial stupidity, let's say. If we can help, or if we can, let's say, as Lena said, raise a bit of awareness, whatsoever, small or big, let's do it. I mean, just imagine it's weekend. What people, or let's say most of the people, do weekends, maybe they go to relax or whatsoever. But again, if you can do something, do it. Now, okay, that words or words, these words, do it. It's as simple as we expect. It's not really that simple, because we need efforts to be done. At some points, point financial. I mean, let's be honest, and we can back up with, let's say, the big corporations or the big whatsoever institutional and government and so on. But let's start moving the things step by step with what you're doing now, what your colleagues are doing as well. Let's partner with a network of others, and let's move the things on.
Okay.
And of course, on the spot. I mean, as concrete as possible. Otherwise, we all know we can talk and talk and talk. What's after? I mean, I'm asking myself, I'm questioning myself, how can I help after I will go after those doors? No matter if it's me.
We have some
personally.
ideas, so
Okay,
we'll share
cool.
them.
I know
Okay.
also.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you very much. This is indeed the first step, to be here, to give our time, to give our energy, to give our hopes, to give our beliefs. And when I contacted a lot of companies for this event now, they said, we are not ready. We are not ready. Okay, nobody is ready. Okay, but you have to start somewhere. So let's see if we have any questions from the audience. And yes? No? Yes? Yes? I'm giving you my mic.
Okay, so I have a questions for all the panelists that want to answer. I heard a lot of ideas, great ideas of things that can be implemented in the future, but can you have any specific examples of companies that actually implemented some accessibility measure, for example, in the recruitment process? And if so, can you give some examples of actions that were made in this direction?
I will answer first. So I know some companies that have great campaigns in hiring people with special needs. In my opinion, it has to be a little bit more than that, because we have to put these people in the right place and in the right job, not any job, just because we have to have a number. So just to answer your question from my perspective, together with Valentina, we met wonderful people these days. And on our free time, besides our projects, besides our work, I want to make a campaign and I want to help most of them. Probably I will not help them all. And this is the direction we should all go. And probably the input here, the fact that next year I want to bring much more companies to this fair, and I will give them 1 year to be prepared. It's another step so each of us, I think, will go from here with some action to be done. And if all of us present here will do, next year probably more will do, and this is the direction. But otherwise, I don't know any concrete examples of companies that assess, the companies that are auditing and doing improvement for more free. Unfortunately, I don't. Do you?
No.
No.
No, I don't.
No. Okay.
I do. But I don't think that's the point, because we put the focus on brands. I don't think this is the purpose of all the things that we're speaking about. But I think what Loretta said, I mean, just imagine that whatsoever type of candidates or employees, I mean, there it should be, or it is in fact, a diversity volume of jobs. I mean, some of us are cashiers, some of us are managers, some of us are whatsoever. We don't have to give or to provide jobs for such or particular type of people in one direction. It's just stupid. I mean, this is it. Exactly what you mentioned. Assess the people for the correct path and position. Yes, and of course this implies more effort. And yes, nobody does it.
Hope this answers your question. Julian, you are from the hub, right? From the... Say something about you, because you're doing interesting things too.
I am a career counselor, senior career counselor, one of the first in Romania to have a private practice in this direction. Right now, I'm representing the Social Incubator Association, an NGO that focus on young people that come from the child protective system, but also we work with other types of disadvantaged people, like unemployed people over 55, single parents, and so on. For example, I can give you. I ask this question because one of the projects I'm developing right now is consulting service for inclusive companies on onboarding and inclusion, to help them provide the right onboarding actions for disadvantaged people. So yeah, I'm interested in best practices in this direction, and I was wondering if you have such measures. I heard some very good ideas here. For example, besides publishing normal job description on the job, but also put there a video that.
It's very easy to do it. In fact, just has to think that you have also these kind of persons with these needs.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm from the same organization as my colleague. My name is Raluca Ciucă. And last year I was dealing with a project trying to find solutions to work with in disadvantaged schools from the rural area with children with special needs. So my question is, how can we prepare the children in a secondary school, let's say, or high school, the children with special needs, in order to cope with the requirements on the labor market? Doesn't make sense to create a sort of partnership or agreements between some NGOs, corporations or organizations, and then schools or high schools in order to set up a friendly environment, working environment for them in the near future. Does it make sense, my question? Okay.
I would like to answer that yes, it makes sense, and that's what Accessibility Hub is doing. We learn from the companies, from you, and we are very we value very much your input. But we also can train people, especially with visual impairments, to use their computers, to use their orientation mobility skills, so that they comply with your requirements.
A very good question. Before I went in the States in 1995, so from 1990 to 1995, I worked in a special school. And I know what we didn't learn, we didn't teach. And probably is the same now. So educational system should change and adapt and encourage gifted people and have different curriculum for different type of people. But yes, some partnership with some ONGs and some organizations is going to be beneficial. So let's work on that. So I think our time is up. Thank you all so very much. We are looking forward next year and things that let's do a follow-up and let's see what things we've done from now to the second year of accessibility. And we are here around if you still have questions up there, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.